Wolverine. Wolverine.
Pull up a chair. This is Fluxtaposed, episode 201, recorded on February 27, 2018. On the docket today, we'll have some IRL. We'll have our Netflixation of Cloverfield Paradox. Get caught up on What You Plan, featuring Electric Dreams and the Black Panther. Finally, we'll close out the show with the community grab bag and that sweet, awkward finish. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the show.
Yeah, I called it. Jason, I gotta fix your...
I am broken! Welcome back to another episode of Fluxtaposed. Those on the stream, I am invisible at the moment. So, hashtag deal with it. But welcome to another episode of Fluxtaposed. We're pumped to have you here. It is Tuesday. It's Fluxtaposed Day. We've survived episode 200. I did not delete the video. I almost went full... disaster artist. You never.
I was just gonna say it sounded like that's where you were headed. I did not do it.
If I had a water bottle, I would throw it, but all I have is a glass bottle, and I do not want to throw that.
Don't throw the glass.
Want to throw that.
Don't throw the glass.
Don't throw the glass. I'm Jason. He is Lucas. Welcome to Fluxtaposed. I should have got that out of the way sooner, but hey, we're known here for not doing things in an appropriate fashion. So welcome, pull up a chair. As I said, it's time for you to embark with Lucas and I in a journey through the interwebs, through time and space, through the magical land of life itself. We're going to get you caught up on what's going on. We're going to talk some nonsense, and hey, we're going to talk a movie because we haven't done that since Bright. So why not do that? Why not do that? Lucas, how's it going, man?
I'm just, and
do you want me to talk while you're fixing things? You want me to?
I almost got you fixed up. Well, here, let me just say the only reason why this happens is because we use a separate client for talking to one another, and it's a Windows-based capture. And every time I gotta set you back up, man. I let you fall so I can set you back up again. Why do we fall down, Master Bryce?
Don't know. Don't put me down that tangent, man. I can't. I do have a small disclaimer on the episode. At some brief moment, I will have to step away momentarily because my wife went out to dinner with some friends tonight. So I have the boy, and I have him. He is napping. Well, excuse me, he is sleeping, and I have le video monitor. So at some point, the exchange will have to be made.
It will happen.
It'll probably be nice to say hello. So you'll have to freestyle a little bit. I want you to vamp a little bit, you know.
You saw my freestyling skills from before, dude. My freestyle dance moves.
Probably the greatest GIF I have ever seen.
And the greatest gift you have ever seen.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yes. The internet. I'm pretty confident saying the internet will never be the same after that. I mean,
I don't think there's pre-gift dance and post-gift dance, and we're living in a post-gift dance world.
Because we are living in a post-gift dance world.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, tonight I'm drinking Under the Kilt, my friend. That's sponsored by Dragon Mead. Under the Kilt. It's a wee heavy Scotch-style ale. I've been wanting to try this one. I really enjoy their...
Final Absolution.
Yes. It's actually the first Belgian I ever tried, and it got me... Got me started.
I don't think I get Dragon Mead. I don't get Dragon Mead very often. I don't know for a reason.
They're expensive. All of their beers are above $3, I believe. Not really sure why. I think it's because they go for kind of the bigger, bolder styles. They don't really have... They have less styles, but the ones they chose were like double IPAs and triple Belgian ales and all that stuff. It's not that expensive. You're right. But when you're buying a 6-pack and you're also filling it with other, $4 to $5 one try buys, it's it can get expensive pretty quickly.
That's a tough thing about going to the bottle shop, because whoa, Just a Lucas pour if I ever did see one.
The head on this thing is almost as big as my head. It's a beer showing me up. Anyways,
you know, that's always the thing about the bottle shop. You know, it's like I do get sticker shock there a bit. Like the beer I bought for episode 200, the mom on your mom on French toast.
Yes.
That was I know a 4-pack. What are they selling? They were selling them. I think they're selling them in 6-packs, and you only could buy one, and that was like $20 for a 6er, which isn't too outrageous. But then I think it was like $4 for a single, and I like the $2 to $3 range. I'm cool with, but then like spending $4 and above for just a pint.
Well, and the problem is too is that you're paying a small premium for buying singles anyways, because if you buy them in like a 4-pack or something, you're getting it slightly cheaper. But when you buy it single like that, it's, you know, a little bit. And I mean, it's like, you know, it might be like 20 cents more, but still, there must be some soap left in this glass or something, because no matter what I do, this is just, it's got to settle down. Settle down, beer. Come on now. Come on now. Well, why don't you, since you don't know when you'll be pulled away, why don't you start with your IRL, my friend?
Yeah, I will do that. Wait, I will do that. I was going to quickly check the location tracking, because we're one of the households that does that through the iMessage, because this is how it always works. You know, your wife, you leave somewhere, your wife will always be like, well, let me know when you get there. You do. But when I go, Jess, let me know when you get there, she never does. So now it's just nice, especially when she's going around with Aiden during the day. You know, I just pull it up on my phone, like, oh, okay, that's where she's at. Okay, no problem. So it's all good. So yeah, she's in Holland, so we'll probably be good. But yeah, I will go first. So we are considering purchasing a vehicle. So, you know, I have an 08. My wife has a 06. Hers is a Jeep Liberty. I have a Dodge Caliber. Neither is very desirable for a car seat. The car seat will not fit in the back seat in either vehicle with someone sitting in the front seat. So that's been an unfortunate thing we've dealt with since March of last year. And, you know, both still run fine, but, you know, it's probably time. You know, we didn't think about it. So we did do a test drive yesterday on a vehicle here in town. I think we're going to be, I don't know. It's interesting. The whole, you know, negotiation process, didn't quite get offered quite what we hoped on the trade-in, and, negotiations initially didn't go so well. So we're like, you know, we're going to walk away. No problem walking away. And I forgot I gave him my phone number, because the dealership or the car dealer, I should say, because it's a used car dealer, not a dealership, called me back tonight to ask me if we were still interested. I was like, oh, I got him. We'll see, though. I was like, well, you know, we didn't quite do our homework yet. So I kind of just kicked it around the road. So I'm gonna call our credit union tomorrow, and because I want an idea of what our payment would be. We're looking at a 2013 Chevy Equinox.
Yeah.
No, it got crazy. I don't know. I'm not too worried about the miles, because it runs really well.
Runs and drives good.
And like the important thing, it's in our price range. Like we can't afford a vehicle that's, you know, sub 80,000 miles. That's just not going to be the scenario for us on a single income. So we'll see. You know, depending on what the payments will be, maybe it depends on how close we can get. If we can get close, we might go for it, because like it's nice because the car's right down the road from us, so it's easy to check it out and go. I don't want to drive, like, you know, there's some favorably priced vehicles, but they're like 60 miles away, and I don't want to drive an hour. Because then you're like, there's added pressure to like get it, and I don't want to go down that route. So we'll see what happens. I'm not like overly excited about a monthly payment, because I haven't had a car payment for several years, but you know, it's going to happen sooner or later. So there's definitely things we can toy around with in our budget. And we've talked about just, I'm not sure with our listeners out of state here, but here in Michigan, one of our large grocery chains is called Meijer. It's a big supermarket chain, and they have a shopping service called Shipped, where people go on, they'll buy your groceries and deliver them to you.
Yes.
For a charge. So that was something she would consider, doing on at least on Sundays and maybe one other evening just to bring in a little income here and there just to contribute, but something that'd be totally flexible and she could decide her hours. So possibly looking maybe at something like that, but we'll see. We'll see. And the main unfortunate topic of the Valacy household this week is our son Aiden has caught his third illness of the wintry season. And this one's probably been the roughest. He's got, we ended up taking him to the pediatrician today because just wanted to make sure it wasn't getting into his lungs because he had a lot of like a phlegmy sounding cough. His lungs are clear, so that is good. Everything sounded great there. He doesn't really have, I can't even say it's a low grade fever because it's not. I mean, the highest his temp ever was like 100 degrees, and then it always would go back down. It's not really affecting his sleep. Unfortunately, the cough does wake him up from naps. His night sleep has been fine. He had a little bit of fluid in his ears, so we're hoping that this means that it is on the way out. I mean, because if it worsens, we're probably looking at an ear infection, but hopefully it's on his way out. We'll be done with that. They did give us an antibiotic, but urged us not to fill it unless we only absolutely have to. So if it gets to the point where he's waking up in distress and upset, then we know he's got something more serious at hand. But so far, I mean, that's never been the case. The worst was the other night, and he just kept coughing and he wouldn't go to sleep. So Jess like went in there and held him and rocked him. And then I'm just like out in the living room, like, I don't even, what am I even supposed to do here? You know,
you're supposed to feel like shit the whole time.
Matt responded to me on Twitter, a couple other guys, and it's like, what do you do? Because your kid's miserable. Your wife's in there doing her motherly instincts are kicked in. She's like, it's go time. She's in there doing her thing. And you're just like, well, it's not like I'm going to go down to the basement and play some video games right now. I don't really feel like watching anything. And so it was like 8 o'clock and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go to bed. You know, so I was going to go in and watch, I think I was going to watch Cloverfield. I was going to watch something and I just didn't get around to it. And then she put him back down and then he woke himself up again. And then she tried it again and then he just wouldn't settle down. So finally we just put him down and it worked out. And we got up and I was able to stay awake for like an hour and I was falling asleep during The Walking Dead. I was like, yep, I'm done. I'm done for the night, which is fine because I actually made it to the gym this week. So
nice. Good job.
Yeah. So hopefully he's going to do all right. And that, I think that's the worst thing. You know, I've dealt with a sick kid before, but when you're just so powerless as a parent, it's the worst thing to see your child not feeling well and you to be like,
I wish I could do something, little guy or girl.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we all have to suffer.
Yep, exactly. So that's where we're at, man.
Cool. Well, I hope he gets a speedy recovery because
me too.
I've read that we are hit with not we as in Michigan, but just in general, America has been hit with the worst case of the flu virus in a long time. So, you know, people getting sick. I know my brother-in-law's girlfriend got bronchitis.
Ugh.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not a healthy atmosphere.
That was a funny statistic you shared. I mean, it's coming from cracks. I mean, you take that with a little bit of grain of salt, but they said, you know, this is one of the worst flu seasons, but a lot of it's due because the horrible pressure that employers put upon their employees to not miss work. So, you know, employees are coming to work sick or they don't have sick time they can take and they can't afford not to be at work. So they have no choice. Like we have sick. We got rid of, we eliminated our sick and vacation time. We just have one giant paid time off pool. So that way, you know, it all comes from one. So if people don't use, you know, didn't take sick day, guess what? You got more vacation. But the unfortunate thing is like, then my it's weird, you know, with my employer, because, you know, I'm friends with my bosses. I knew them before they started the company. Then he's like incentivizing people to, I think he's going to like pay a premium for people to not use their vacation. I'm like, you kind of want to encourage people to take vacation. Like,
yeah.
I think we want to encourage employees to get away from work and, you know, be away from work. You don't.
We already have enough outside pressure to feel like we're letting everyone down when we don't go to work.
Yeah.
So to actually make it incentivized, I feel like is going in the wrong direction. It's kind of nice in theory if you don't ever end up using it, but it's also kind of encouraging.
Before I had a family, I'd be a guy I wouldn't use on my vacation, you know, but now it's like, I'm using every last bit. And what if I have time off left at the end of the year? I take it all and I take, you know, I have a bulk there, but You know, it's unfortunate because we had a couple of people last year that abused the system and had like, you know, I'm not going to divulge. We had somebody that had like 40 hours of sick time plus vacation. And it's just like, because we didn't limit the, you know, we didn't put harsh limits in place. And then because as a growing company, you know, and then you have to create policies and mandates and nonsense.
Fuck that.
I know. Now we're just corporate. Now I'm the man toting the corporate hammer and
that's right. That's right. You're laying down the law.
Doing write-ups and disciplinary notices. And
I always find that that's got to be difficult when you're in a smaller setting where pretty much everybody's kind of at least friendly towards each other. So they're just, you know, it's like, oh, yeah. I got to be serious now. And they're like, take it as a joke. And it's like, no, seriously.
It's crazy. We're almost triple the size of when I started there almost 3 years ago now. So
wow.
we've had some explosive growth, shall I say?
How many percentages?
This isn't the Jason corporate podcast.
Like
this isn't. I know. So please tell me about
CEO
some stuff.
Jason. Well, I can lighten the mood, I suppose, with a little beer scare that I had. I was packing up my beer for the Fluxtaposed beer exchange, and I've been messing with this thing a lot. Okay, so I want to get it like perfected in the
your
art.
Baby.
Yes, I want this thing to be perfect for my recipient, which is Callow, and I have spent many times. It's kind of like, speaking of vacation, it's kind of like when you're packing your car for the ultimate vacation, and you're like, you know you have too much stuff, but you're gonna get it in there, so you keep like, well, maybe if I just set this vertical instead of horizontal, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm packing all this stuff.
You're like the Clark Griswold of beer shipping.
Yes, exactly. I put a lot of lights on it. Power went out in the entire neighborhood.
Clark, shitter's full.
Oh, God. And so at least I don't need anybody to come over, any of my family to come over and help me, that's for sure, or visit. So I'm packing all this, and all of a sudden I feel a drop on my foot, a drop of water. Heart stops in its chest. I'm just like, what the fuck? So I'm like, how is this possible? Because I was trying to use a shoebox, and it wouldn't, with the padding, it wouldn't really close all the way, so I taped it down. And I'm like, oh my God, did I like somehow Superman push a can so hard that it like opened outward somehow or ruptured, or did I break one of the glass bottles? And so I'm freaking out, and I tear it all apart, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, there's no liquid in here. What the hell's going on? So I pick up the box, and I'm looking around on the table. My wife has a potato in water that she's trying to get to grow like more potatoes off from. Don't ask me. And she also has some carrots. And I knocked that glass of water with the potato in it onto the table, which slowly dripped down into the edge of the table and on my shoe. Did you then
boil it, mash it, and stick it in a stew?
Potatoes? No, I did. What? Oh, God, that was a horrible. Yeah, I can't do it. I used to be able to. What's taters, precious? But I can't do it anymore. That's disappointing.
I can't do it anymore.
What's taters, precious? That's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
Too much Yoda time, I suppose. So yeah, that kind of made my heart stop for a second, and then when I stopped and saw what it was, I was like, thank goodness, because I thought for sure.
Putting glass beer bottles in there, that's scary. I only shipped one glass bottle to Matt, and I was just like, oh God, it's gonna break. I know it's gonna break. That's all I could think the whole time. And the fact that it went USPS also was just scary, because I'm like, oh God, it's gonna break. Government's gonna call me or something. So don't do that.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody had said anything about it yet, but I was wondering about the sloshy noise that comes from the box, because it's very obviously liquid, and I don't know if they're going to have questions about that. But I was planning on just dropping it off out of the box next to us, because they're a UPS pickup point. So I was like, well, nobody there is going to care, I'm sure. I've also heard that if you write active yeast cultures on there,
you're not technically lying.
Exactly. So yeah, but I was so happy when I found out that nothing broke, because that would break my heart, honestly. So
Cal sent his via UPS, and it's olive oil for his grandmother. I love it.
Maybe I'll do that. It's my own patented barbecue sauces.
We're a soda traders.
That's true.
We got some fancy soda here in Grand Rapids. I want to share it with my friends.
Sending out that Faygo like it's
a little moon mist for my friends.
Yes, exactly. Now, as you probably have noticed, Jason, and anybody watching in the video, there is a TV behind me now.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I did see it back there, and I was just like, oh.
Man, this is like Bizarro World trying to figure out how to orient your body when you're trying to point at
I did
something.
read the link. Matt has a very helpful link disclaimer for all of your beer shipping needs for those.
Okay. I posted one in the information section that nobody probably. Anyways, there's a TV behind me. And this TV used to be in front of me, but I got tired of that, Jason. I couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't worth it to have this giant 40-inch television in front of my eyeballs, like 3 feet away, if that, maybe even closer. I couldn't do it anymore. And honestly, there's quite a few games I've been playing with the controller, and to be able to just like relax over there as opposed to sitting at my desk where I'm already sitting to do my work during the day.
Don't you have the Steam Link?
I do, but that's for upstairs, and I don't play games upstairs unless I absolutely have to. So, yeah, but here's the good news. I got the okay, Jason, to buy a second monitor. So that will be on the way. Yes. So, I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot. It's going to be, a 1080p, probably last generation piece.
It's going to be a Westinghouse.
No, I know. I did say, I was like, I'm willing to not spend a lot.
You got like a 38-inch curve.
No curves, no gimmicks. I am trying to get a 27-inch though, because bigger is always better.
I'll be honest. I like my newer monitor, but I hate my monitor setup because I have my old, horribly thick bezeled monitor here to my right.
Yeah.
And I can't get the mount all the way off. Like I can get the base, but I can't get the vertical stand portion. I can't get that off, so that's still there. And then my newer monitor is thinner, nice bezel, great monitor, but the way it mounts, it doesn't have the VESA.
Yeah.
Or the VESA. I guess I should say the VESA, VESA, the screw holes on the back.
Have a VESA card. Right.
It doesn't have those, so I had to get an adapter for it, and it's really wobbly because of that. As you can see, I can just shake my desk and look at that action.
Don't shake your desk.
So that's unfortunate, but
so every time you sit down or move your hand on the desk, it wobbles a little bit or something like that.
Yeah. So I kind of wish that would be one thing I would always recommend is to make sure you have something that's VESA compatible. Or I guess I could just get rid of the desk mount and just mount it on the wall.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I don't even plan on using a VESA mount just because it's an added expense that I can't really afford.
Yeah,
so even though they are cheap, but I mean, they can be cheap.
It's so nice just to free up that desk space.
I know. I would love to do that. I would actually like to get one of those little, kind of, almost like a step stool for your monitors.
Like a riser of some sort?
That's probably a better
just
word
to lift
for
it up. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Just to lift them up a little bit and gain some of that space back.
Here, let's take a little tour of my desk. So here, this is the problem. This is the problem the VESA mount has given me. So you got, one monitor there, but then, so that just allows me to put an Xbox there.
Yeah.
And then the other monitor, and then it's just crap, all cluttered behind there. There's the switch is back there. A bunch of wires are back there. My router's back there. The Elgato's back there. It's just a cluster mess. So while I do have desk real estate, it just means shit just gets piled everywhere, and the cables are a mess. My cable management is horrible.
It's like a drawer, but everyone can see it all the time. You're really changing my mind about getting a VESA stand. That's for sure.
It looks cool though.
That's true. People are probably like, man, do you do some sick programming on that?
No, they see it. They're like, this guy's a pro streamer.
He must be hacking.
I got my green screen back here. You can't see it because it's made to look like just this generic office.
Yeah, that's actually a picture. You don't actually live in that house.
That's really not my guitar or any stuff. That's just,
it's a stock image that you found on.
I got Getty Images.
That's right, exactly.
I photoshopped out the watermark.
Good, glad. That must have taken a lot.
You're just on you're just on a single monitor right now.
Yes, I'm back to the way that I was long ago when we first started this podcast.
Well, just think how much easier it's going to be for you to set up the stream when you can actually separate things. And
well, yeah, and that's the thing, is the TV really didn't make it that much more convenient because it took up the entire desk, which means this monitor was almost parallel to me, basically, or perpendicular to me. So I was looking at it from about a, I don't know, 170-degree angle, you know, so it wasn't really working anyway. So any monitor would be better than using the TV. But that originally was my idea, and I was like, well, I could just get a 4K TV instead of another monitor. But having a 40-inch, and you cannot find 4K TVs at all under 40 inches anywaise, I realized that's not going to work. So
yeah, like I have a TV that I don't know what to do with. Like I'm hopefully to eventually replace that with a 4K, so I can actually hook my Xbox One S up to a 4K television and actually take advantage of the 4K-ness, you know. And I don't know what I'll do with that TV.
You gotta live that 4K life. You gotta send it to a recycle center. I
guess that'd be the best bet.
Or just store it in your basement for 4 years, like I've been doing.
I think I already saw TCL, the TCL Roku 4K. I've already dropped in price. You can get them in like under 400.
Yeah, they come highly recommended, so I hear.
I mean, if Ellen gives them away, they got to be good.
That's true. She gives it away now. Okay, and now for the main event, because this will be a bit longer. So we had Isaac's dedication yesterday. Oh yeah, well,
because I've already managed to blow every topic. So
you're like the enemy from Left 4 Dead, the bloater.
The bloater.
Yeah. And then you puke on everyone. What's going on right now?
You puke on everybody one time, and you're a party puker for life.
That's true. We had dedications and debauchery, but actually debauchery came first. So the night before, we had my brother-in-law and his girlfriend over because it had been a while, and we were like, let's play some games. So we played some games, and I thought to myself, I might have a beer or two. Well, I ended up having 4 beers, and we had to wake up at like 7:30 the next morning, and I'm like, I thought I was gonna be okay because 2 of them were Bud Ices, and because I was like, I don't want to drink all my expensive beer. But then I drank 2 of my expensive beer compared to Bud Ice. I drank 2 of mine.
Whoa,
2 Bud Ices. Ice? Yeah, that's what my brother-in-law brought to the party.
They still make Bud Ice? I don't remember the last time I saw Bud Ice. Is the penguin still on the logo?
Possibly, because the logo looked old as hell. It looked like a NASCAR car.
I don't think I've had a Bud Ice since the last time I had Bud Ice was probably corresponds to the last time I played beer pong.
Yeah, probably. Sure. Well, I have learned one thing. If you
did you do an impromptu battle of the beer?
No,
did you do a solo flight?
I didn't do anything fun. I should have. Yes.
All right.
No, I realized something that what I find interesting is Mountain Dew came out with this new Mountain Ice thing. So I'm pretty sure ice is just synonymous with like garbage, basically.
That's the commercial with Morgan Freeman.
I have not. Oh yes, I have, because that aired during the Super Bowl, didn't it?
Yeah.
The Fire and Ice Doritos. And
where he's rapping Missy Elliott.
Good times. What a time to be alive. So anyways, we got way hammered. Well, hammered. I say hammered, but I did have 4 beers, hammered, which is way more than I have had lately. And then while I didn't eat anything.
Here's the best part of this topic too. Lucas and I just had the pep talk. We're like, we need to cut down our beer intake. Maybe one during the show, none other until the weekend, and then just one a night. And then you're
mine was, yes, that's true. But mine was disclaimered with, if we were ever had like company over or we were doing something significant, then I would drink more than one. But however, otherwise I drink about 1 a night or so, 1 every other night, depending. So that happened. Oh, what I was going to say is I ate these chocolates because I was kind of hungry, but I didn't want to eat anything significant. So we had this leftover Valentine Day candy. And dude, I think I woke up in the middle, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had such bad gut rot. I went into the bathroom and I was like, okay, maybe I can just take care of this. And then I go back, lay back down, and I'm like, nope, it's coming up. It's coming up. So go back into the bathroom, and I open the drain valve, so to speak, on my throat, and you know. And I will say this, I am not a fan. I would rather feel bad, like shitty, than throw up. I used to hate throwing up because nobody really likes it, but some people are like, I'm just going to throw up real quick and then I'll feel better and we can keep drinking. I'm not that person. Not lately, Jason.
I used to be that person.
That's
not
true.
So much anymore.
So I threw this, and all it tasted like was, strangely not the last beer that I had. It was any IPA that I had, second to last, and then this chocolate, dude. Chocolate came back to haunt me. So I think that's what actually caused it, because I wasn't hungover the next day. My stomach felt pretty weird, but other than that. So anyways, the dedication, it went pretty well, actually. It was quite easy. Isaac did a great job. He's never been in front of a whole group of people like that. And there's probably, there's at least 100 people at that particular church. And so we do the process. And then, so here's what's funny. That the sermon that day is about the life of David who beat Goliath with the sling and all that stuff. So the Bible goes on to talk about David and his life, like what he ends up doing afterwards.
Hey, don't push your beliefs on me, man.
Well, you're lucky, because I don't believe this particular religion. I mean, I don't not believe it. I didn't make a choice. I opted out like a big wussy. And so some bad things happened later in his life. And the pastor starts talking about sexual assault, basically. There's a story where he sees one of his, I don't know if it's generals or his, or one of his warriors anyway. He sees his warrior's wife, and he's like, I'm gonna get me some of that, because she's bathing. He's walking around on his roof thinking about, I don't know, strategy or something. He looks down and he sees her bathing, and he summons her to him, and they do it. And I'm like,
summons her.
Yes, bring her to me. So I just thought this was a really weird time to have this particular talk after a child's dedication, because you know that there's going to be other people there that aren't necessarily going to this church that are there for the dedication, like I did. Like my mom came, and some of this other stuff, or some of our other family, some of this other stuff. And then they go on to talk about sexual assault and how David may have been a rapist, basically. So pretty heavy topic for, my folks to just be like, oh, okay. But that was pretty interesting. And then yeah, so other than that, everything went well, and he is now dedicated to the Lord. And we're all happy. We're all fine here.
That's great.
Thank you for asking. It is great.
Did you are you guys the only reason I bring this up is because of, I know church was mainly a social outing for Isaac. Are you still doing the evening class for him as well too?
Yeah, that hasn't started yet.
It hasn't started yet.
Second week of March. It's a tumble and play class. Yeah. It's in the evening, like you said, which really helps, because then Danette can come home and actually spend time with him. So yes, we offered our child to the Dark Lord, and he has been accepted into the fold.
Bring me the child.
The Don Cheadle. Bring me the Don Cheadle.
So, yeah, you know what? I will say from my perspective, I talked about how I'm not particularly religious. Wasn't that bad. All I had to say was I will, and, it's about Isaac and my wife, and I was there for them.
I think exactly. You have I know how where your beliefs are, and it's good that you are, supporting him and your family, and you are letting. I mean, he can't quite make his own decision for this, but you're not pushing your own personal bias.
Right. There's onto
your son. He's not. You're not like, well, I don't do it. My boy sure as heck ain't gonna be doing it.
Exactly, but he also isn't necessarily Christian. Like, it's nebulous until he's old enough to make that choice.
Right. Right.
But I do want to take some time out of your day to talk to you about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, if you have some time. I have been recently saved, and I thought maybe we could sit down and have a little chat about some of my favorite chapters out of the Bible. I really think you should start coming to church with us, Jason. I'm praying for your soul. I'm praying
pagan.
I'm praying for your soul even twice as much now. I do not mean to offend anybody who of any religion, but I do find it annoying when people will stop you and out of your day and just be like, "Hey, I think you should be my religion. Why don't you give it a shot?"
The last time I encountered that, I remember I was in, I think I was in middle school at the time, because when I was still doing my bass guitar lessons.
Triggered!
And I was like in Greenville, and I was standing out waiting for my dad to pick me up, and I'm standing out there on the sidewalk with my guitar case, and this girl walks up to me. I was like, oh, she wants to talk to me because I got a guitar. No, it was about religion, and if I believed I was going to be saved and all this stuff, and it was just awkward, and I'm just like, I gotta go.
Yeah, because you don't like. My first instinct is to be like, no, I don't like. I don't not believe that I'll be saved or whatever or anything. I don't really have much thoughts on it. But then when you ask me, my first instinct is to be like, no, I think we're all gonna burn in hell. Thanks for asking. Like I want to be as
take the Russ approach. You want to be just a hole and a troll. You want to troll them, huh?
Up yours, buddy.
Well, speaking of trolling, what perfect time to go into our Netflixation this week.
God, yes.
The Cloverfield Paradox. So we probably are going to converge a bit into spoiler territory. So for those of you listening, feel free to skip ahead. Those of you guys that are watching live or in the chat, if you need to bow out for a little bit, totally understandable. I don't want to, if you're interested in this movie, we don't want to ruin that for you.
No.
That said, let's get into it, as we say in Battle of the Beer. We'll talk the Cloverfield Paradox. Now, I'm going to give it a disclaimer right out the gate. That really, I think this was the unfortunate thing that kind of set off the whole movie for me. This was revealed out of nowhere during the Super Bowl, and it was like, find out why the aliens. I mean, it basically put this picture into your mind that this whole premise of this movie, you're going to find out how the creature ended up on Earth. This is going to connect. It connects the Cloverfield universe, and it's going to reveal that whole aspect of it. And it doesn't really do that at all. It kind of gives you a vague idea of how it possibly could have happened, but it just doesn't. It just is a convoluted, messy, crappy way of doing it, and it really made me angry when it was said and done. And as Josh had mentioned in the chat, this was really this was originally a movie called God Particle that I believe J.J. Abrams was the producer on this. I don't remember how if they like purchased the script or got involved with that whole production, and then it felt like they kind of like shoehorned Cloverfield into this a bit.
Yeah.
I read some interviews, and I can see how they're like, oh no, we totally didn't do that. But I mean, it kind of feels that way. So
no, we didn't do that. What are you talking about? What? This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
Like I get upset and disappointed because we don't see a lot of newer sci-fi, not even just sci-fi. Like sci-fi horror was one thing, and this is somewhat that, or quality sci-fi films. But I can see why, because this comes out and I feel like it just plays to too many of the sci-fi tropes. Oh, this guy's Russian. He's going to be the bad guy. He's going to fight with the crew.
A bad guy of some sort.
Yeah. And then, all of a sudden, it definitely borrows from some familiar themes that we've seen before. Like, it borrows a little bit from Alien. Definitely, I saw influences like Event Horizon.
It's definitely no Event Horizon. That's what I was thinking the whole time, because it kind of, you could feel that type of feeling trying to come from it. And it's like, no, he wasn't German.
No, I'm not racist. The worm guy was Russian, Josh.
Yes.
German guy was the dude
Schmidt
from
was
Civil
German.
War.
Yes.
Yeah. So
although I do feel like they're racist because they chose like the most common names ever.
That's another point I want to say. Oh, the German guy's the bad guy. I mean, at one point it started to go that route. Okay, but I'm kind of all over the place here. So
I feel like Hamilton may have been Smith at one point, and then they're like, that's a little too plain.
I'm supposed to be talking about what it did right. So like what I did like is like I enjoyed the setting. I liked the whole space station's look. I don't know. I like the feeling that it did give me, because at the same time, while it did seem like heavily influenced by these films I talked about, I did also enjoy it for those reasons. I kind of like that vibe it got. I mean, I was unfortunately, I saw ratings for this film, so I kind of had an expectation. I had very low expectations going to this because I mean, it's I got like 18%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. Very very low ratings across the board for critically and just the standard viewer. So I like that. I think Hamilton was probably definitely the most fleshed out character. We got to see enough of her backstory and really her motivations, like her loss of her family and that emotional struggle she has, especially learning that family members are potentially alive and this alternate universe thing that's going on.
Right.
And I think I'll applaud that as well, because that's a very tricky like plot line to go down, like these big parallel universes and crossovers and this and that. So that was kind of cool to see, but it doesn't. That also kind of goes in something that I didn't enjoy. So what did you like think that this got right? What were the things that you really liked about?
I mean, the setup was okay. It, like you said, it was. Yeah. It's a fairly standard sci-fi kind of trope to be like. I mean, it's just like Event Horizon. They set off this thing and it causes a shift in reality or whatever. And so the only reason why they're up there is they're trying to find a source of power that can be unlimited, but it's too dangerous, so they have to do it on a ship. I'm fine with all of that. That was a decent setup.
Yeah, that was a cool setup. Yeah, I like that. I like that whole idea of like they're trying to create a powered supply that's unlimited, and yeah, I like that. I agree.
And I also thought that the whole family struggle with the alternate dimension where her family is alive, like that was probably the most compelling part of the entire movie. I don't feel like she had to struggle with it that much. I mean, there is a part towards the end where she realizes like, I don't get to go. I can't go to that other family and have two, Hamiltons on that particular Earth. And plus, our true bad guy, who was the woman who gets like shifted into their space station, had said that it's hell down there. So even if she went down there, it would probably have been horrible anyways.
Yeah.
But the one thing I can say with certainty is thank God for Mundy, because I have to say that if it weren't for him, I think this movie would have suffered from a bit of like too much seriousness going on, not enough levity. And I think Mundy definitely provides that.
I was hoping he would tell someone to turn it off and turn it back on again at some point to kind of reference IT crowd. Since he was like,
I know.
Engineer. You try turning it off and back on again. Hello, IT.
Yeah, played by Chris O'Dowd. That's what I was trying to look up.
Yeah.
So I thought he actually did a very good job considering. However, his character doesn't really. I mean, he loses an arm and he's like joking about it.
Yeah.
Did everyone see that? My arm saved us all. It's like, how can you be so like joking about this when you're the arm that you have left on your body looks like a ham steak, or the one that had been taken off? It's like,
yeah,
like how are you joking about this right now? This is horrible. But like I said, if it wasn't for him, I think this movie would have been a lot less fun, and it already wasn't that fun to watch in the first place.
Yeah. So help me explain this too. So like they make the jump and they're in the dimension. It's just because the way that they're traveling through time and space, I guess itself, not as they say, the particles of the dimensions kind of mashed together. So not everything was cleanly. Hence why the worms end up inside of the one dude's body. How the one girl, the chick, ends up inside the wall.
Well, that goes that goes into one thing that I didn't like that much. So if you want to do you want to just like switch over to that?
Yeah, and another part that confuses me is like he doesn't like that I don't even remember the character's name, which always happens in Netflixation. Before he like when he goes out, he decides he's got to like kill Schmidt because he doesn't trust him. He like has this conversation with himself, like staring in the mirror. And at that point, I was like, that's when I was like, oh God, it is Event Horizon. He's possessed by some unseen. Yeah, he's possessed by some unseen thing, and he's gonna. But it doesn't really. It doesn't like. I guess that's one thing. I guess that one thing I didn't like is it doesn't really give me an explanation, except I guess it leaves it up to draw in my head that the universe is working out the paradox itself and eliminating the variables that don't belong there. Hence, like everyone that didn't belong in the universe, they're getting killed off by unseen forces. But
it's like they copied and pasted over the world on accident, and from two different documents, and they smashed them together, and so now there's like multiples of things. Or
why were the foosball pieces spinning randomly, and like it just
those are two of my major problems. One of which I'll address the foosball thing. They make like in Event Horizon, the ship itself feels like a character. In Alien, the ship itself feels like a character. And anytime you have people stuck inside of a space station or a small enclosed area, it doesn't even have to be in space. Like you could be a cabin out in the woods. The area feels like a character because it's so small and you get to know it really well. The problem is that when you do that and it's you make it seem like it's alive because it is a character, you have to make sure that one, you're doing that on purpose, or two, and this comes into my second point, that the laws in which you write this character, this like the ship or the cabin or whatever, the magic that makes this thing work needs to be understood, at least to the writer. So my problem is that, like you're talking about, why do the foosball soccer people flip? Why is the wall suddenly disappearing and attracting his arm, Mundy's arm, into the wall? There's no like explanation as to why that happens. And I don't mean like nobody sits down and says, oh no, we're in a giant magnetic field. I mean like you don't see any cases of things that happen that are explained, and they're not even explained by knowing how two realities smushed together even work. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's a free-for-all. Anything can happen. And one thing that bugged me a lot and really like turned me off from the film came towards the end when Mundy was killed by the magnetic the spray that he kept spraying to fix things.
Oh yeah, when it comes off the wall and like tentacles him.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, this is going to
on him.
Yes, it did. And I thought it was going to just like go through him. Like it was magnetic and
spear him. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And instead it was like alive. Why was it alive? There's no explanation for that whatsoever that they have written either through events or through exposition.
Yeah,
there's no precedent for any of this stuff.
If it was more like a realistic way, like how she was trapped in the airlock that was filled with water, or not even an airlock, she was trapped in that section that was flooded with water, and then eventually gets breaks the seal and everything's frozen, or more like a more believable instance, like if you said if it was attracted by the magnetic portion and it just like somehow was able to like impale him that way.
Yes, I would prefer that because they already tried making it seem like it was alive with like that whole wall thing, and there was no. It's easier to believe a set of circumstances that are just like one bad thing after the other. That I can believe. I don't need an explanation for, the worst day possible on a spaceship or whatever. I do need explanation as to why suddenly a wall disappears and his arm is being pulled through for some reason. Why is that happening? I need an explanation as to why this spray is suddenly has some kind of intelligence to it. I don't understand. That's horrible. So incomprehensible world magic is a huge problem in any film. This one has that in spades.
I thought, for me too, I thought there was like too sharp of a, I don't know. It felt like it was too sharp of a contrast between what was going on with an Earth and then what was going on with the space station, to where it was like, it just felt, it felt extremely separate. Like I I don't know. It was like jarring for me to go back and forth a bit. I understand why it's there, but for me, going into this thinking this was going to be an origin story of like the whole Cloverfield monster, going back to that point, I was so confused because I'm going in with that mindset and I'm thinking, I don't even it doesn't. First of all, I'm like, this doesn't match up. This is much more of a futuristic Earth than what Cloverfield, the first film, was set in. That was like modern day, and this is clearly in the future based on the space technology that we have and everything, and this energy crisis and everything like that. So that immediately was like, I'm like, what is going on? And then once they introduced the whole idea of multiple universe, like parallel universes, like, okay, is it going to somehow transport back in time? And then so that immediately had me like weird and questioning. But the whole Earth, like the Earth storyline just didn't like, I don't know. I feel like Josh brought up a point that is, that got added in once Abrams kind of got involved and they started splicing in the Cloverfield stuff. I feel like it could have done almost better without that in a way. I don't know. Like,
then it wouldn't even be Cloverfield at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then it wouldn't be Cloverfield. Like, I've watched two similar movies to this recently. Be it, well, I think this one now, and another movie that was a similar concept that I was really excited for, Life, with Ryan Reynolds. Who else is in that?
Oh yeah, I watched that one.
Jake Gyllenhaal, and that I hated that movie.
Oh really? I thought it was pretty decent.
No, because it's like Alien all over again. It was just I was just so disappointed with that one. It was basically Alien.
Kind of, but I didn't feel like. Yeah.
But that's another subject. Yeah, I was expecting a little more, and I felt I was getting a rehash. So I'm really excited about this type of genre, and then I feel like let down. With that said, I don't know. Like, you had given me, I see your thought in the notes too. When I told you, I was like, oh, I'm gonna start watching it. Like, this movie is weird as balls.
Yeah,
this is weird as balls. And I was like, yeah. As I started watching it, like it did those things, like those weird growth. Like, I feel like now in every space horror movie, we got to have somebody that gets possessed and goes berserk, and they're like twitching, and then something's gonna blow out of them, and then there's something like when we had the chick in the wall, I thought it was going to be a monster in there, other stuff. So I did see some cool things there. But the whole movie just got messy. And usually I don't feel that way about films, because usually I can see past that, and I look at things as, for me, as, I just enjoy the story. And I at face value, I still was able to do that. But it was just like, there's a lot here I couldn't look past. I don't know.
Well, it felt like those events were okay on their own, and they're memorable, like the chick in the wall and the hand in the arm and the getting sliced off and everything. Yeah. But it just kind of felt like the writer was like, wouldn't it be cool if like there was a girl in the wall, because she got like teleported into the ship because of the realities mashing together, but there were like tubes going through her and stuff. Yeah. And wouldn't it be cool if like there was just random magnetic field pulling all his tools off? It just feels like, a whole complete random like group of scenes that would be cool on top of a movie base underneath it. A couple of other quick notes. There's way too much exposition in the dialogue. Holy cow. Especially at the beginning when they're in the car and she's like, and he said like, go over it in your mind or whatever. And she's like, if I stay, then I can do this. But if I go, then this is going to happen. And I'm just like, should I
stay or should I go now?
I'm just like, oh my God, why nobody talks like that? I'm going to see if I can find it, but nobody talks like that. Nobody just talks about their intentions for the sake of the audience. It's just so unrealistic. But anyways, oh, here it is. Okay, so I found it. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to stream. There we go. Okay. Here we go. They're staring at each other moodily.
Because people are starving. Because our energy supplies are running out. And this mission could unlock an endless supply of power that could save us all.
Boom. There's your synopsis right there. That's the entire thing you know. She goes up there because it could save us all, and it would be enough power to save us all. Like, you can't tell me that through the story. I mean, they filmed, I can guarantee you, they filmed that portion in that car and had that part because they didn't have enough money. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we'll save money by just throwing them in a car. You can't see the background, and they'll just set up the story through the dialogue. No, don't do that. That's bad. Show, don't tell. That's why you made a movie. If we were making a audio drama to put on a freaking radio station, then yeah, sure. But that's terrible writing. And then lastly, speaking of terrible writing, why did 3 people have to go to decouple that ring that was like throwing the station off kilter? Like that. All they did was watch him.
I say they watch. Why is that in space movies? Why do you have always an important like switches that are these giant manual levers you have to turn that always get like another sci-fi horror trope? You know, they always get stuck or jammed and they can't.
We're gonna have to manually override it, but I can only do it from the other side. Why? Why would they ever design? Like, NASA must be shaking their heads right now. Like, that's not how you build space stations, you stupid asshole. So there's just a lot of that stuff where you just like, it starts out, you're like, okay, I know this movie's not going to be that bad, but as you continue, you're just like, when I told you it was weird, I was like probably 20 minutes away from being done, and I'm just like, there's so much stuff that happened I cannot abide by. So
yeah, I mean, I kept kind of going over I kept kind of going over my head, like, can I see past that? Can I see past this? And I do think I still, if I had to go off I guess I'm kind of moving on to our final thoughts and verdict. If I have to go off the Netflixation thumbs up or thumbs down, I still don't feel like I can rightfully thumb it down, because it did have enough redeeming qualities for me personally that I could still give it a thumbs up. But I'm disappointed so much because I thought this was going to have like this much better connection to Cloverfield, because I really, ever since that first movie, I always wanted more Cloverfield. And then like Cloverfield Lane came out of nowhere, and 10 Cloverfield
it was great.
And it was great. And I think I'm just really like that desperate for like this type of sci-fi film that I'll just take whatever I can get. You're a
movie whore.
Much like how I love Altered Carbon and everything else like that. So it's just a very, very disappointed, because I thought I heard some of my peers the same thing, talk about how they just didn't like that and had problems with it. And I was like, no, it can't be that bad. And it's just.
So what's your final verdict then? It sounds like a hesitant thumbs up.
You know, I think I'd give it a Caesar thumb sideways, really, if I could, because you know it's.
I'm gonna
change my mind. I've talked through it. Thumbs down.
I was gonna say, I understand.
Now that I said everything I said, it doesn't make any sense to give a thumbs down.
But listen,
Linda, listen.
I understand. I understand why you want to give it a pass. I did that for Bright, though. I can't do that 2 times in a row.
I liked Bright.
I liked Bright too, but I do know that I had partial feelings coming into that movie. Here, I do agree. I would like to see this movie made better. I would have liked to see this not shoehorned into another movie.
I think God Particle on its own could have been a good thing, and then it
got pulled in this other direction. Yeah. Like, oh, we got to put Cloverfield in here somewhere. I mean, come on. The only real thing that it has to do with Cloverfield at all is that you see a little bit of the Cloverfield monster one time, and then at the end you see a whole lot of them. That's an ultimate spoiler. I'm sorry, but it's true. If you like Cloverfield, you are going to be sorely disappointed with this movie. I cannot recommend it. At least with Bright, I could say, well, if you kind of like sci-fi, you know, this is kind of interesting. Here, I didn't hate the movie, but there's not enough going there for me to recommend it to anybody, even people who like Cloverfield, because I feel like I'm doing a disservice in saying that it even works in that context. Like, oh, it's Cloverfield, but on a space station or something, you know, like it doesn't even feel like Cloverfield. So, I mean, there's just so much wrong with it. I can't give it a pass. All you should do is you should give it a pass, because the movie is not worth watching.
Yeah,
Josh?
I hate that. I hate that all these big Netflix like monetary investments are not coming. Like, they haven't had a real heavy hitter yet. That's really been like, Bright was this huge money to make, and it wasn't received that well, which I think is unfair. Still, this I think kind of the same way. It's just
this is everything that was wrong with Bright to the nth degree. Like, this is many more cinema sins, as it were, than Bright. Bright just has, like I said, Bright just had the problem of like a second one could really flesh out the world. This one, they've already had 2 movies. Like, how do you F that up? Like, seriously, I don't understand how you make a sequel or an in-world movie, like in this Cloverfield world, and then not make it about Cloverfield at all. Other than, oh, you did throw in what's his name from Gotham talking about, like, again, the entire point of the movie.
Did you see who the reporter was that he was talking to? That was
yes,
what's her name?
Yes, from Silicon Valley. Yes, yeah. She didn't have to change her character one bit.
Did you? I hate to break this to you. So that's our verdict. Do we want to? Are we going to roll into? Because Tom Servo in the chat, Nathan Horton mentioned that he just watched Mute with Paul Rudd. He thinks we're going to hate it.
I feel like that's a challenge.
So is that going to be our next Netflixation?
You know, I think so. I wanted to see it because it's got my boyfriend in it, obviously. And if somebody tells me something,
it's in the future and there's neon lights and it's raining, so I have to watch it.
Yes, exactly. And I do feel like it's if somebody tells me something's bad, I want to watch it because, as I've said before, there's more to learn from bad movies than there usually are from good movies. So, like we see here, I mean, you can't do much more wrong.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
I'm sorry. I'm just being mean for the sake of being mean. It is a bad movie, though. With that, should I spin the wheel?
Yes, it's time to play an overclocked remix. We talked about Cloverfield Paradox. It's double thumbs
more
down.
than anyone should talk about Cloverfield.
We're gonna watch Mute for the next Netflixation coming up at the end of March. You can celebrate my son's 1 year of life with the Netflixation.
Nice. That's a good. Yep. That's a great way to do it. So I've heard. I don't think anyone's ever celebrated their life with a Netflixation.
I don't think anybody ever listens to the Netflixation. Everyone skips that.
Oh, we held the live folks here hostage.
Yeah, I know. Live people have no choice.
All right. Well, I will say this: our OC remix today is number 7, Final Fantasy 7. Finding Your Inner Alien, something near and dear to my heart lately. And I do believe, I think we've had this artist on before. Not on here, sorry. I think we've had on OC Remix.
Platonist.
Platinist. He goes for platinum trophies.
Platonice.
Trophies.
Well, with that said, we are playing tonight for you Finding Your Inner Alien. This is from Final Fantasy VII, released in 1997 by by Square and Sony on the PlayStation 1, featuring music by the legendary Nobu Uematsu. We are going to be, looks like the samples 2 songs, Find Your Way and Genova. I should say it remixes those. We got an EDM. we got an EDM remix. You never know how that's going to go. But again, this is
Get your glow
finding
sticks.
your inner alien. And as always, folks, you can find this remix and many more at ocremix.org. So we're going to play the remix. We're going to come back with some What You Playing and get this show in the books. So stick around. All right, that was Netflix. Well, that was Netflix Nation and an overclocked remix. Thank you. I'm glad you gave me a thorough point there.
I need to
That
clip
was,
my nails. Holy
yeah,
shit.
those are gross. You got
They're
some
not
poop underneath
gross.
them too.
Oh no, let me see. No poop. Just dirt.
Now
Dart.
now's the time of the show. We like to give you a little look into what we are consuming in the media world, be it usually a game or a movie. Sometimes a book, you know, if you're into that sort of thing. And we like to call that What You Playing.
Yahoo! It didn't have that part because it's from the arcade game. Actually, I couldn't find the Sega Genesis version with the digitized Yahoo in it, which makes me sad.
What game was that?
Sunset Red.
That was going to be my guess. Okay. All right. Let's see. We had to cut some well, due to length, we can't really, I don't think we can talk about it much tonight either. We didn't talk about Black Panther last week on the show.
Well, I mean, it's so new too
runtime.
that there's no,
Yeah,
you don't want to give spoilers or anything.
I really liked it. I don't know if I got a chance to say it, but it was. I think we kind of touched on it at the end of last week's episode too. Is that we both really liked it, and it was for me, it was refreshing to see, because I feel like we're seeing a lot of the same thing over and over in all the especially in superhero films. So this was nice to see a lot of stuff I've never seen before. Not just with what was on within the actors' representation, but I felt like it just seemed fresh to me, and it was nice.
Yeah, it was kind of like when I watched Spider-Man: Homecoming, because I felt like when your villain and it's important because in these superhero movies, obviously your villain is very important because it's the whole reason why you have superhero genre in the first place. And your villain in this is very compelling, very much like Spider-Man: Homecoming with the Vulture, where, you know, I would say that the villain in Black Panther has a much larger agenda, so to speak, a much more global scale agenda, but still the very his history is very like grassroots, very much in the realm of what most of humanity faces, you know, like, or at least can relate to. And I find that to be very important. Whereas like somebody like Loki, I mean, Loki's great and all, but you cannot really relate to being the, you know, the kind of shunned brother of the one true king of Asgard or whatever the hell.
Yeah. I think this was the first actual let's face it, I'm not going to go see a DC film, so I want to mention that, but this was the first Marvel movie I think I've seen in a theater, at least since it might have been Civil War, I think, because I didn't see Thor. I watched Guardians at home. I haven't seen Spider-Man yet. I'm pretty sure this was it. Wow. That's
you and I can still go see Thor at the cheap theater.
I would love to, but I don't get many chances to do that.
You haven't even got to do most of the stuff that you wanted to do at home, let alone
leave
the house.
Yeah, right. So Black Panther. Since other than that, I finished Altered Carbon. I no surprise, I really, really liked it.
No spoilies. I'm working on it.
It was great. I really liked the story arc. I liked the journey it went on. I think the way it ends, it opens it up for other seasons with an interesting twist. Really happy with it.
I have a question for you. The last episode I've watched is episode 5.
Okay.
And episode 5 was the first episode I watched where I was like, I don't feel like that was as good as the rest of the series. Did you feel that?
There's a little bit of there's a little bit there towards the middle where it's kind of like, but I think it sheds that really quickly and gets back on track.
Okay, because that one was like, I don't know, there was just something about it that was. Oh, okay, so it was. I'll try not to spoil it too much, but light spoilers. It was the one that had to do with torture. And it just felt a little bit too like, well, of course, you know, he had training about torture and stuff like that.
Did you notice the guy that was doing it to him was in a former Netflixation?
Which? Oh, the guy with the crazy hair, or the other, the real guy?
Yeah.
I don't think I noticed it or recognized him.
He was in the one where it was like, oh god, they were in like that. They were trapped in that hospital or whatever, and they had their own rooms that they were locked into, and they had like the group therapy sessions. And remember, they like find the hole in the ceiling.
Oh, yeah. And it had like that very plain, normal looking dude as the main character.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't remember what it's called either. And he was in that movie. I didn't even. Man, I still don't know. That's crazy.
And Max Headroom is in the series too. So
got that. Oh, that makes me.
You got that too.
Yes.
But again, I really enjoyed it. I'm really excited for more of that. And Jessica and I watched The Ritual, which is one something you and I had talked about possibly making a Netflixation. Another horror movie came on Netflix. Much better than Open House. Don't ever watch Open House still. Ritual is all right. It has a lot of Blair Witch vibes going for it. You know, you got 4 friends back on this backpacking camping trip in the woods, and then, you know, it's not found footage. Don't worry about that. But
Okay. I was going to ask you if anyone runs up to the camera and starts screaming. Right?
No, but it has some similar vibes with the Blair Witch, and it has something that, at least in terms of a creature, I've never seen before.
So it's a creature movie.
It is a creature movie
to a certain extent. Okay.
To a certain extent, and I don't know, the ending. This is the type of the movies where it has one of two different ways it can end, so that you can't kind of put too much weight on. But it was good overall. We both liked it. We actually watched it again last night because my mother-in-law stayed over and she wanted to watch it, and I have to say, like, once you already have watched that and you know where all the scares are at, it really loses a lot of its luster. Because I thought for sure I was going to pick that up on Blu-ray, but now I'm glad I'm not, because it's just kind of like, if you watched it once, you've kind of got there.
It's kind of like a carnival ride or something.
Yeah, it's fun to watch it with someone that hasn't, though, because then you're just kind of keep waiting for them to, like, how they're going to react to different parts, which is fun. And then the last thing I've been doing is playing Owlboy on Nintendo Switch. For lack of a better phrase, I will say Metroidvania light, because yes, it has sequences, areas in the game that are not accessible until you get like a certain ability, but it's not like you're doing major backtracking and back and forth across an overworld to access them. But I will say it looks, it's gorgeous. Like, it has that 16-bit pixel art style, but like the artwork and the animation looks fantastic. Like, that's where that game really shines. You play, oh gosh, what is your character's name? I can't remember, but he's mute, so you don't talk, and he doesn't really have any attacks himself, but he has a couple like buddies that you can switch between that he'll carry around, and then they have attacks and things, and the abilities they can use. And I don't know, it's fantastic. I always wanted to get it on PC, and then when I heard it was coming to Switch, I knew I was going to hold off and get it there. So it's available on PC. It's available on Switch for $24.99. Man, listen to those mechanical keyboard.
Yeah, but it's not being picked up on the feed, so otherwise somebody would have bitched by now, I'm sure. Kevin would have heard it and immediately teleported in here and said, "What the fuck?"
And they're having actually a physical version, a physical release as well.
I was going to tell you, I got this through humblebundle.com. Go to humblebundle.com right now and use my offer code. Go screw yourself to get 20% off.
I put a ton of time. I did like I streamed a good chunk of it Saturday night on Twitch, and I like ended up playing it for like until like 2 a.m. intentionally.
Wow. Damn.
So.
Well, see, that's the thing is, like, I'm already caught up in some other games right now, which I'll kind of get into, but I didn't want to. I feel like I need to devote some attention to that. And I kind of had that happen to me with Hyper Light Drifter, where I started playing some other games, and then that kind of fell off to the side, and I need to finish that one. So
yeah, you do need to finish Hyper Light Drifter, because that's a great game.
I need to hyper my light drifters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and beyond that, that's been it. I still hop in Brawl Out every once in a while. I did see, speaking of Humble Bundle, they have a Brawler bundle right now, and for $9, really? Rivals of Aether is in a pack.
Ooh.
But that's the only game out of all the bundle I really want is Rivals of Aether. I don't want any of the other
them
games.
Are just...
they're all like 2D fighting games that I'm not interested in, and it's like, I'd rather just have Rivals of Aether.
I had that problem with the Rockstar bundle that they had going on. I really wanted Bully the Scholarship Edition. I would have taken like LA Noire and one other one, but the rest of it was just like their old stuff, and I was kind of like, or like all the old GTAs that I already own. So I was like, I'm not gonna pay $15 just to get like 2 games that I want. So I had to pass, which is, I don't normally do that. I don't usually have that kind of self-control. I do want to say I went to check in my beer on Untapped, and then I found this, and it was very disappointing. If it'll,
can't read it. It's all blurry.
I don't think it might not pick it up. There it goes.
There you go. Under the Kilt. I can't read it. It's
I already have a check-in.
Oh no, it's not a unique.
But I still agree with my old self, which rated this at a 4.75, and you know what? It is really damn good. It definitely is
That's
a
like the
sipper.
biggest disappointment. You're like, yes, unique check-in, and then
Oh, I'm dumb
I don't
and forgot.
I don't check in repeats. I have no desire to. I only check in uniques, and half the time I forget to, and then I'm like, well, I can't check in now.
If I felt different about this, I would check it back in, but I don't. So, I mean, there's some stuff I tried really early on when I started untapping things, and after I've had a lot more beer, I've gone back and been like, that doesn't deserve a 5. Like, not everything I just like a lot deserves a 5 necessarily. So that's the only time I'll go back and check something else in. But speaking of, since we're kind of going on this theme of rainy days and noir and sci-fi, I checked out Electric Dreams on Amazon Video.
Yeah, I saw this because it's they're all adaptations of stories from Philip K. Dick, right?
I don't know if they're all adaptations, but definitely inspired, I would say, for sure. They're all sci-fi at the very least. I just don't know if they are.
Like, also one day I was like, oh, I never check out Amazon. And immediately I was like, oh, I still need to watch The Tick because I haven't watched any of that. And then I saw Electric Dreams, like, sweet. And then there's another thing on there that was like anthology of horror stories. I think I can't remember what it's called, but while you're talking about Electric Dreams,
I know what you're talking about.
The wife is home, so I'm going to do the switch over right now.
Okay, it's just going to be me for a little while, guys and gals. So I hope you're okay with that. Well, I've only watched the first episode, so I can only speak to that. But it's a little bit like Black Mirror, in the sense that, as far as I know, none of the episodes connect with one another. But there's Asher. But the first episode dealt with a alternate reality where you had two people. You started with a woman in the future who her wife, I'm assuming, or girlfriend, says that she needs to go on a vacation. So she hi Aaron. So she says that she needs to go on vacation. So she does this by going into this alternate reality, and she plays as another person. And it can be anybody. It's made up by your brain, apparently. So it's a bit like dreaming, I guess. And so in this other reality, you see who she plays as, or who she is, and this other reality is dealing with this character or this person who is using the virtual reality that he invented to escape the murder of his wife. And so you're left wondering which is reality and which is actually virtual reality. And I actually, it was a bit of a rocky start at first. I don't know if I was just kind of challenging it because I was like, well, Black Mirror did it better, or you know what I mean? Like, I kind of wanted it to not be as good, I think. And it had to win me over. I don't know why. I was kind of being like, the show needs to win me over if it's going to get any attention from me. So I'm going to give it more. I'm going to watch more episodes. I just haven't gotten around to it. And I enjoyed the first one. I had to watch the whole thing. And I mean, I did watch the whole thing. And by the time I did, I was like, okay, I enjoyed this. So it took the entire episode. I wasn't just like on board right from the beginning. But it eventually won me over enough that I will watch the rest. Josh, I did try Dark on Netflix. I have watched about half of the first episode, and I do want to go back to that. That one hasn't pulled me in quite as quickly. And so I want to devote some time to that when I know I can sit down and watch like 3 episodes and then decide whether or not, because I've heard that one's good. Also, I'm watching it in German because I don't like the voiceovers typically, and I don't mind reading, although it can be a little distracting. Like typically I don't like subtitles in video games, but I will read foreign language or I will do foreign language for something like Dark. So yeah,
I tried Dark. I just saw the chat and you mentioned it. Jessica and I tried Dark, and maybe it'd be better if I did it subtitled, I guess.
I've seen like the trailer of the English dubs.
The dubs.
And it was, it would take me out of it.
Yeah, because I think seeing the the actors like edited to try to match up with the speech, it looks so obvious and glaring that you're like taken out of it, And I was like, in my youth, I was like, oh, I don't want subtitles. I want it, But yeah,
I remember watching Pan's Labyrinth and people left the theater because they didn't know it was in Spanish. I gotta read subtitles. This is stupid.
Maybe that'd be another series. I don't think Jessica and I would both watch together because I don't think she was feeling it. Maybe she'd be willing to try with subtitles, but
well, it's definitely one of those.
I'd give it a go solo. But.
It's a little cerebral, I think, and sometimes you don't feel like having to devote energy towards understanding what you're watching and reading what you're watching. And like I said, if the subtitles aren't done well, it can be very difficult to keep up with what's happening on the screen and read at the same time. I've definitely watched some stuff where I felt like I was doing more reading than I was watching, and that definitely sucks. But yeah, so Electric Dreams, I'm going to give more. Jason, you missed it. It took me the whole first episode, but it eventually won me over to watch the rest of the series. It's a bit like Black Mirror, so just to give you a heads up, it's not.
I haven't watched Black Mirror at all yet.
It's another good series.
Yeah, it's been in my queue for like 3 years, or however long it's been in my queue.
Well, we all have those, don't we? And then you watch it and you're like, why did I wait so long to watch this? Just it's got to be the right time. I finished Just Cause 3 finally.
Oh.
I did all the bases, like I told you. I was all the bases belong to me, and it took me a while, but eventually I just got tired of it and hopped in a chopper and just like went through and blew everything up with the chopper, and didn't ever have to get off the ground unless it was in a town. You have to blow up certain things, but you have to get out and raise a flag. But if it's like a military base, you just blow everything up has red on it, basically. And so those were much easier. So once I did all that, then I finally finished the rest of the game, and I finished the story mode, which actually wasn't really that long, because after that I only had a couple more missions and I was done. And like I was kind of telling you when I was texting you about it, the story mode isn't really enough to make me feel like it's a game worth playing all the way through, like to pick up for the story mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a giant sandbox, even more so than because at least like Grand Theft Auto typically has a story that I'm invested in, but here I didn't really feel the pull to do the story mode. I just kind of did it because that's kind of my marker point for when I'm done with a game. I don't need an open sandbox game where I just come in and blow shit up, because I was doing that for 80% of the game. The other 20% I was just trying to finish the story missions. So, I mean, it's hard for me to recommend. It is a lot of fun, but after a while it becomes a little repetitive. And I mean, a lot of open worlds are kind of like that, where you just, Far Cry has that problem. You just go and liberate bases all day and eventually do a story mission here and there. And, that's fun at first, but you can only hunt down so many animals to make a wallet or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Eventually I have found, and this is just my personal perspective, I either want a game that is just all based on gameplay, kind of like sports games are, I suppose, is a good example, or racing, where you just, the appeal is the gameplay, the emergent gameplay that is within that system, or I want a story-driven game a la Mass Effect or something of that nature. But I don't really like the in-between ones, with the only exception being Mad Max, and that one was just as bad in the story, from the story perspective. So I just liked the world of that one, and I liked there was like some more stuff to do, a better variety of things to do outside of the story. So, it was pretty fun, but at the end I'm kind of just glad I'm done with it. So I'm moving on. Obviously I'm still playing Witcher 3. I'm starting into Bayonetta, but I haven't played enough of it to talk about. So those are kind of the games. I still have Cuphead on the docket.
Wow, I didn't know Bayonetta was on PC.
Yeah, I think it took a while to get there, but I picked it up because I've always heard it's a really good like Devil May Cry-esque hack and slash. I don't want to say hack and slash RPG, but action. I don't know what the hell you call those games. I don't know. It's got a woman in it, and her hair is her clothes. I don't know what the hell's going on, but sometimes she's naked, and I just hope my wife isn't in there in the room when I play it. What are you doing, honey?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's bad enough with Tomb Raider, but yes, she's never really naked, but there is a point where she's wearing like a string bikini, basically. So, okay, I'm giving the go ahead that it is like hack and slash. So,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I remember playing it on the Wii U, I think. You had a demo of it.
Oh yeah,
and
I had a
played
demo
it
for the
there.
second. Yeah, I had a demo for the second one.
And I was like, this is balls ass crazy. Like, what the hell's going on? And I kind of like it because it's weird and it's sort of like anime kitsch to it, but without being anime.
Josh, get it trending. Hashtag Lucas game.
What does that mean?
Well, in PSVG land, we have hashtag Kevin game. We have hashtag Donnie game. Now we have a hashtag Lucas game.
Does it have to be a specific? Is that just when you play a game and you're like, oh, I know who would like this, and then you say hashtag Lucas game?
Yeah, like Donnie likes those really weird, like anime schoolgirl murder.
Honey Pop, the visual novel games. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, apparently. And then what? Kevin likes the weird stuff. Like Jazz Punk is his, like, we joke that Jazz Punk is his game of the year of all time.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game I heard that kind of came and went, and everyone was like, "This is really cool," and then I never heard about it again.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Xbox Game Pass. Because I signed up for it. I was looking at it. I'm like, is this for computer?
That means you can play Sea of Thieves with us.
Well, maybe, because right now I don't really see a reason to keep it around, because I thought everything that was on there was I could play on PC, or play anywhere, as they call it. Not the case. About the only thing worth playing that I saw on the list right now is Gears of War 4, at least for me. And I don't know. I guess I was just under the impression that I could play most of the things that I saw, but as I was looking at it, I was realizing that honestly, there is not as much as I thought there was, because there has to be a
out with it.
The Play Anywhere deal, like the dealio. It has to be Microsoft Play Anywhere. It can't just be whatever's in the Game Pass. So
gotcha.
Sorry, I'm trying to look it up because I can't seem to find it very easily. There we go. So yeah, like Resident Evil 6 is on there. Can't play it.
You can play Age of Empires DE.
Oh, good. That's what I want.
Or Halo Wars 2 or Fable Fortune 1.0.
Exactly. But I can't play Lego Batman or some of the other games on here that I was like, oh, you know, I guess I'll try that, because it was an older game that I wouldn't buy now, but yeah, you know, whatever. So like Bayonetta, can't play that on PC. So it's a good thing I got it on Steam, I guess. Fable 3, can't play it on PC. You know, so I'm going through this and I'm like, and there's no tab there's no way to like show you just the ones that you can play on the
You can't filter it
on PC. Yeah. So I was just like, well, this is a free month that I free 2 weeks I just wasted.
Well, yeah, I haven't activated Game Pass yet. I'm basically just waiting until Sea of Thieves comes out, and then I will. So you should jump back on then, because then you can play with me and Callow and Josh and everyone. Like, everyone's gonna be having Sea of Thieves. So,
Josh says, buy an Xbox instead of a monitor. You are greatly overestimating the amount of money that the amount of money I'm going to be spending on a monitor, my friend.
Well, apparently, if you just hang out in the PSVG Discord long enough, you just get
free stuff.
Xboxes.
Oh, Xboxes, okay.
Yeah, Josh sold an Xbox to Kevin. I mean, Donnie sold an Xbox to me, and then I flipped it for an Xbox One S. You know, Devin just got an Xbox. I mean, just saying.
Well, you know, that's the thing, is I need to be more involved in social media, obviously, so that I can just talk about
your
how
Twitter
I never have
your
anything.
Twitter presence has been blowing up lately.
That's true. You know, I'm trying because you guys are paying. You guys are paying for that service for me to be on Twitter. So I need to make it. I need to make myself available.
I don't remember that pledge tier. Get Lucas on.
That's a goal. Lucas becomes more active at $100 pledged. We'll send nudes. No, but seriously, I think that's all. I think that's everything for my what you playing. Honestly, I mean, I could have put that in IRL, but turns out I don't get to play anything on Xbox Game Pass except for I may try to shoehorn in Gears of War 4 really quickly to play the story mode, but I'm not really like.
I need to play Gears. Whatever. I never actually, you know what? I never played the story for Gears of War 3. I only played the multiplayer. I never played story on that one. So, but I hear I hear a lot of good things about Gears 4. So I'd love to jump into that.
Yeah. So I'd like to see how it is to play it with a mouse and keyboard. Although now that I have this set up this way, I'll probably just go with the Xbox controller anyway. So, yeah, that I think that about wraps it up for me, man.
That wraps it up for you. Well, that really wraps it up for everything.
What? I wasn't even prepared with music, so now I gotta.
We got no questions or silly things to talk about for.
Well, we did
this week.
Yeah, we did an AMA, and everybody was like,
"Heard enough about these guys."
They came through. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they know. Everybody knows what kind of porn we're into now, so, or at least what penises we look for in porn. So, I mean, what more do you need to know about a person?
What more do you need to know? So, with that, hey, thanks everybody for listening this week. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining in on the live show. But we do want to thank all of our patrons. If you want to support the show, please check out patreon.com/Fluxtaposed. But again, thanks to all our patrons. But special thanks to our arbiters of awesomeness, Sean Capri, Edwin Kahlo, Tyler Allen, Nathan Horton, and our executors of excellence, Josh Baloney Barbone, Dan Anthony, and Siri Renee. Thank you guys so much for your support each and every month. And with that, let's go off and let's make Fluxtaposed great again. We're going to be back next week. I guess we're doing some gaming on the show next week. Stick tuned for details on that and all the other good stuff here in Fluxtaposed land. So that'll be episode 202 coming back in March. So we'll see you then, guys.
The music is never turned up when I go to the after show.